Welcome to another edition of Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco right here on WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio. Haley's not with us today, but we do have a pretty nice day for you. Of course, it's 2 p.m. here on Saturday in the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia. And guess what? We've only got a few more days until 2023 is a memory. This is the New Year's show. And sorry to see it go. I'll tell you, we've had a pretty good year on the station. A lot of stuff's happened here over the last year. We have interviewed, oh my goodness, boxers, sports figures, baseball, football, tennis, basketball. We've got astronauts on. I've had several of those on. Book authors, comedians, you name it. We've had them on the show. All of them basically promoting books or promoting their new movies and things along those lines. And it's been a fun time here doing this show the entire year of 2023. And I want to thank the audience. I want to thank the listeners out there for being able to stick with us, and we just really love it. Today, I have got Josh Applebaum with me today. Josh is the producer of the show. I've had him on before. He's great. And Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Peter. Had a very nice Thanksgiving with the family. Finally got over whatever cold was going around last week, so that's good.
Well, remember, we're talking New Year's now, so basically, you got anything planned for New Year's? Anything planned thus far?
Probably joining some of my dancing friends at some venue where we'll dance, drink, and be merry, as they say, to usher in hopefully what will be a wonderful 2024. Because we've definitely all earned it.
That is true. I mean, we've had some success here, but obviously there's been a lot of turmoil in the world, and hopefully it'll be a better 2024. So what do you remember? What are your high points from 2023 in your lifetime? What has been the high points in your life? How many have there been?
Let's see. I'd say high points, definitely getting a chance to work for the Free Library of Philadelphia. That happened at the beginning of this year. I like that. I got the chance to actually, this is going to be happening next year, but my passport got renewed. It came in the mail, and I already have booked my trip to Havana, Cuba from May 14th to May 21st.
Fantastic. Sounds like a lot of fun. And you get that booking in, that's good. Make sure you have that passport and that's up to date, because I tell you, it takes a while to get that passport these days.
Yep.
Well, my highlights have basically been at this radio station, to being able to interview so many different people. Just not too long ago, we did, of course, Jesus Christ Superstar. We had Yvonne Illiman in the studio with Ted Neely. Best people you ever want to meet. They did the Broadway versions as well as the movie versions. Went to their show. It was amazing. I'm also doing the CPR First Aid AED training that I've been doing. I've been doing this now for 25 years. I continue doing it. Companies, corporations, theater companies, and I just love doing that. I've got a fantastic family. My daughter is doing well. She had a couple concussions over the year, so everything's going really well with her at this point. And it's just it's been a pretty good year for all around. But I will tell you that I'm hoping that even 2024 is a lot better for a lot of other people, because there have been a lot of people in my life that unfortunately have had rough times. It's a very, very sad time for a lot of people, because they're going into the next year, they're by themselves. Now, I celebrate it. This is how we celebrate New Year's. We used to go to the places and, basically hang out and do stuff. Nowadays, we don't do that anymore. We don't go out to the catering facilities. What we do is we actually go bowling. We go midnight bowling. And the family goes. We have a great time. There's about maybe 300 or 400 people there. And when that ball drops, I'll tell you, it's a great place to be. So we're pretty lucky with that aspect. Now, we've got a great guest for you. And I want to just basically tell you a little bit about her. Irene Michaels is a lifelong person entrepreneur, accomplished equestrian who's also made an active and healthy lifestyle. But you will also find her on television. She was on General Hospital. She was pretty much a regular on General Hospital, something like 90-something episodes or whatever. She's done it all. And she's with us today on WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio. We are so happy to have you. So how are you doing? How's it going, Irene? Are you ready for the new year?
I am indeed. Actually, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. This has been a challenging year with work. It's all been really good for me and a lot of hard work, but it's all going to pay off in the following year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's good to hear. I did notice that you are a book author like me. I've actually written 2 books. A lot of fun to do, a lot of work, I'll tell you one thing. But tell me about your book. Tell me about the book that came out. It actually came out in 2020, but still, it's a fantastic read. And tell us about it. Tell us how you came to do it, basically.
Well, I've been in the entertainment business my entire life. I started out at 11 years old being a dancer or taking dancing lessons.
Uh-huh.
And I stayed dancing until I was which was older for a dancer, till about 40. And I was in chorus line for 3 years. So I made it all the way to Broadway, which was in my opinion, a good success. And then from dancing, because at some point you don't dance anymore, I got into acting. And I've always studied the arts, acting, music, theater, public speaking. I was always fascinated to perform. As a little girl, I used to run around my house and pretend I was all these different people.
Uh-huh.
And so it's been in my blood for a long, long time.
Well, listen, we got to back up because you mentioned a chorus line, all right? And I love that show. I mean, I've seen it on Broadway many times. I've actually performed it myself when I was younger, basically off Broadway. What role did you have and how long were you on Broadway?
Okay, I was one of the dancers. I was in the back as a dancer.
Okay.
I didn't have any speaking parts. It was all pure dancing.
Well, that's the hardest part. You know that, right?
Yes, truly. Yes.
I mean, one of the things when I audition, and I've auditioned for a lot of stuff, and I've gotten in some stuff, but bottom line is if they want me for a pure dancer, you're in a lot of trouble. Okay, if you put me in a supporting role where I could sit in the back and maybe pretend to tap dance a little there, where you can just see my body and not my legs or my feet, I think you're in pretty good shape. Dancing is extremely hard, and if you recall in Chorus Line, they talk about that. They talk about the fact that is one of the more difficult roles in order to get is basically, to be a gypsy, as they say, and do that.
Yes.
So how long were you on Broadway for?
3 years.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that must have been great. Any major people that we know that you've worked with that were in Chorus Line that, anybody that likes Broadway?
Shucks. At that time, no, it was so long ago. No, not really today.
Well, that's fine.
Every star wants to be on Broadway today, whether they can act or can't act, but they want to be on Broadway. But I don't think they have any idea how hard it is.
I would imagine so. I mean, I'm looking at the Rockettes. I think a while back we interviewed some of the Rockettes, and I tell you, the road to get there, is very, very difficult as well. I'm looking at your IMDb, and I see Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I love that movie. You played Stacy in that movie.
Yes.
What was that like? That must have been pretty interesting. It's a little off the bebeaten trail, but what was that like when you were in that movie?
It was a little off the beaten track. I mean, I was kind of shocked to even do it. And it was okay. It was kind of an interesting experience, and I had fun doing it. But that type of movie, I don't think I'd do again.
No.
No, but there are so many others that I had better times in. I did several gangster movies, I like doing gangster movies.
Well, yeah, I've got several here. Basically, that in addition, you got River Made to Drown In, you Cold Night into Dawn, Straight Talk. You were the host in that. General Hospital, which we'll get to in a little bit. Mickey One was another one where you played a dancer. Betrayal, When the Government Took. I think that's you were executive producer in 2019 for that. And now let's talk about General Hospital. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my goodness gracious. You know, I've done a lot of things in life, and part of the things I would have loved to have done, I actually had a walk-on, believe it or not, on General Hospital. I was actually doing a class. I was doing a class for college, and part of it was to do a cattle call. You had to do a cattle call. That was it. And I decided I was going to go in front of everybody and do a cattle call just so I could get an A in my class. And they liked me. And they put me up, and I actually did one episode. One episode, I was an orderly. I had nothing but basically just to walk around with a gurney, and that was it, okay? I got an A in the class, okay? But I could always say, I was on General Hospital. Now, you had 97 appearances on General Hospital, 97 of them. That's 6 more than I had, okay? So tell me what that was like working almost every day and actually being able to do that in front of all the big stars, and just it must have been an amazing experience.
Well, you know, it is a very thrilling, interesting experience because generally you're usually at the studio around 5:30 in the morning every day. And it's a 5-day-a-week job. And you have to be there, and the first thing you do is you go into hair and makeup. So now you're out of that. Then the next thing you do is you go on.
Hello? I think we lost her.
Yeah, you find where your marks are.
Oh,
and
there
then
she
you
is.
go through. Yeah, here I am.
Okay.
Then you go. Yeah, somebody was sending me a message. Irene Shapiro.
Okay.
So, I guess that interrupts the conversation.
Yeah, that probably was Estelle. That probably was Estelle calling you.
So then, let's say by this time it's like 7 o'clock or so. Then you have a one fast take of a line or two for the blocking of the show. And then the show starts, and you really don't get much leeway. You get a script maybe sometimes an hour before the show.
I know.
Sometimes, if you're lucky, the night before. But when you get into your character, you sort of know, what's coming. But it's kind of fascinating. The day, even though there's 16-hour days,
yeah,
they go very fast.
I would imagine that would be. What would be the scariest part for me? The scariest part for me would be getting a script right before you're going on and they've changed things. Like when I do shows, basically what I try to do is, when you're doing theater, basically it's a lot easier because you're doing it. They don't change the script. You got 3 months, 2 or 3 months of actually, being able to do it. And they don't change the script. Okay, you can change it a little bit, but you don't have that last minute. Oh, by the way, we've made changes. You're going to say this instead of that and so on. That must have been nerve-wracking to do that.
Well, a long time ago when the Jackie Gleason days, the honeymooners and that, Amos and Andy and what have you.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody on this show will remember those guys. But they were totally from the hip. They ad-libbed everything. And that's why the show was so popular. But as time went on, you had to stay on the script. And actually, at that time, if you made a mistake, like a 2-second mistake will cost, I don't know, I think it was $2,500 a second or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So you weren't on the show too long if you did that too often.
I would think so.
That in itself is pressure, yeah.
No, that's definitely got to be a pressure. I mean, I don't think I could actually do that. Listen, we're going to be talking with Irene Michaels right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over the face, push and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LIFEVAC.
Teachers shape the future. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who'll make preventing pandemics their life's work. Sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who'll help combat climate change. And generating possibilities for a student who'll be the first in their family to graduate college. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
And welcome back to Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco. And, of course, we've got our producer, Josh Applebaum, here. We're just so glad to be here. This is the New Year's show. Congratulations. We made it through another year. And, fortunately, we're going to be doing very well this year. We do appreciate you stopping in there. But I do want to mention my friends over at World Star Public Relations, where excellence meets exposure. Now, listen, if you're ready to elevate your brand to new heights, our team and their team of dynamic PR experts is here to make your story shine bright on the global stage. Whether you're a startup, or established artist, or business, or a rising star, we specialize in crafting narratives that captivate the campaigns that resonate in World Star PR. So your passport is the world of unparalleled visibility and success. So join the ranks. They're really good folks. They really are. And let your story take center stage. You can call them at 631-506-6600, 631-506-6600. And, of course, that is World Star Public Relations. And thanks to World Star, we have a very special guest here today, and that, of course, is Irene Michaels, a lifelong entertainer, General Hospital, 97 episodes, and, of course, Attack of the Killer Clowns and about a million other shows that I've watched, and I just love it. And you were telling us about General Hospital. Now, that was one of the top shows. I don't know if it still are, but it was one of the top shows of its time. And I guess there must be even added pressure to keep those ratings up. What was that like? That did they come over to you and say, look, the ratings are down, we got to do this? Or did you have to jump the shark at all? That's the old Happy Days thing when they jumped the shark, when Fonzie jumped the shark to get the ratings up. Did you have to do stuff like that on General Hospital?
Well, General Hospital pretty much very consistent.
Yeah.
It was the star soap opera. I mean, it was watched most, and the characters. That was a soap opera that, and these I don't think they do it this way anymore. But that soap opera kept you on the seat of your pants because it's like Luke and Laura. Are they getting married? Aren't they getting married? The next episode maybe they'll tell us, and it kept the thrill and the excitement and the mystery going. Where most of the other soap operas, was typical, he has a boyfriend, he's cheating on her, let's stab her, that kind of thing. It was very predictable. But it always kept you on your seat. And it's a funny story. I'll tell you a fast, funny story.
Sure.
When I was a little kid, my mother used to watch General Hospital. And I would be sitting, on my little rocker watching it with her. And lo and behold, years later, I'm on it. And that was her biggest thrill, was to come and meet Jessie Brewer, the lead nurse of General Hospital. So I was able to introduce her to her. So that was a big coup for me. It's my little story.
That's good.
Yeah.
Josh has got a question for you.
Yeah.
Great. Yes, I remember my mother and sister watching General Hospital during the day. Now, given the number of actors and actresses that have passed through the cast over the years, during the time you were part of General Hospital, who did you enjoy working with the most and why?
Probably Rick Springfield. He was an interesting character. And also John Bernardino. He was a doctor. He played a doctor. He was very, very nice. Whatever you saw, it was what you got. He was really played who he was. Rick Springfield, he was talented. He and I had a lot in common. I play guitar. He played guitar.
Yeah.
And so, he was, we used to enjoy talking music all the time. I knew he wasn't going to stay on the show because he'd rather be a rock star.
Okay.
And so he left.
Well, listen, how about Jeannie Francis? She played Laura, of course, and of course, Anthony Geary. Did you have any, I guess, talking with them at all on scene?
Oh, Sure.
What were they like? What were they like?
Very nice.
Yeah.
They were very sweet, really. Very nice people.
A song came out of that too. Remember that? It was a big hit on the radio, and basically it was something else. Everyone wanted to know what was going to go on with those two. But now, when you left, basically, what I know that you've had other things that you've done and everything. But were you sad when you left, or when you said when basically it was your time to? Because 97 episodes, that's pretty darn good. Most people just go on for a walk-on like I did, or maybe they're there for 5 or 6 episodes, or maybe 10, and they move on. But you were there for, 3 years. So what happened after?
No, I actually left the show because my mother became very ill in Chicago, where I'm from. And so I decided I knew I had the experience, I loved it, and so forth. But I decided I'd go and I'd take care of her, and I did. So I left the show, and then after that is when I started doing other things. Acting, there was a lot of acting going on in Chicago. A lot of studios opened up.
Okay.
And so I would do other parts in Chicago, but my interest started to shift. So it started to shift where I wanted to really write a book because I was involved in so much glamour behind the scenes, learned a lot of tips and secrets from a lot of the celebrities. I thought, you know what, I'm going to write a book about this.
Yes. And that's right. That's Living Beautifully and Luxuriously Beyond 50. I think that's the book, right?
Yes.
On beauty. Eye on Beauty.
Yes.
So,
Eye on Beauty, Living Beautifully and Luxurious Beyond 50.
Yes. And
50 is just the beginning. That's my opinion.
But well, listen, I'll tell you something. I'm looking at the picture of you on the book. You don't even look 50. Okay, you look in maybe your 40s, if that. I mean, seriously. So I guess the book worked, right?
Yes, it's one thing that works. No matter what it is you do, if you're consistent.
Well,
consistency is the key.
No, that's definitely something that looked into. And question: so I'm a book author. My first book took me 10 years to write. My second book took about 2.5 to 3 years to write. How long did it take you to be able to finish the book?
Yeah, 2.5 years.
Okay, that's not bad.
No,
that's not bad at all.
And I had help. I had a co-writer helping me and filling me in on a lot of things that I worked very closely with. Her name is Suzanne Trapoldi.
Okay.
And she lives in New York. I live in Chicago, but we conferred on many, many topics. And matter of fact, I have a cosmetic line also.
Yes,
that's called I Am Youth. I Am Youth. And so my brand is I On.
Okay.
And she helped me develop that also.
That's fantastic. Now, I also noticed here, and you're an accomplished equestrian. I want to hear about that. I'm afraid to get on a horse, okay? Horses do not like me, okay? I don't know. Josh, do horses like you?
I don't think they do. I get along good with cats and dogs, but after what happened to Christopher Reeve and that horse riding accident, I don't feel like doing that.
Well, listen, I tell you, all horses give me the side eye. That's a funny joke, basically. But I got on when I was a kid, and basically I just didn't like it. So tell me what it's like to be an equestrian. Oh my goodness, you really got to get close to that horse, and you got to be one. Tell me about that.
Oh yes. Well, I started riding again when I was about 11 or 12 years old. I went to a place called Kittyland, which they had like the old merry-go-round. And so it was the very first time I got on a wooden horse. And I said, it's kind of interesting going up and down.
Okay.
A block away from there, they were selling pony rides for $1. And so I went and I got on a pony. My mother didn't want me to do that, but I did. And I kept going back there. I lived very far from there. And I would take a train and a bus and the L, but I finally got there just to ride this horse. So it was like love at first sight. And I grew up then, bought my first horse at 16, and I've owned about, maybe 5 or 6 horses now. And I was fortunate enough to be brought on to a riding club that's called the DuPage Hunt Riding Club.
Okay.
And it's in Wayne, Illinois. It's an hour from Chicago downtown. And this club, they are formal hunters. So you hunt. It's just like in old Ireland. There's a master of the hounds. We all dress up formal, and you get on your horse, and they put the scent of a fox across the field.
Okay.
And then they release the hounds, and then they release the riders and the horses, and off you go over the bushes, over the logs, through the fields, zigzagging through the little teeny muddy roads. It's very exhilarating. It's also very dangerous.
Did you ever get afraid to do that? I mean, obviously, it's not like you're in a car. You got a seatbelt. You're inside a vehicle. You got airbags. I mean, here you're on top of a horse. The horse is trotting and then running, and you're trying to just hold on for dear life. All you got's the rein. That's it, the reins. You're holding on to the reins. It takes a lot of courage to do that, and to do it as an equestrian now. That is even one step further. That's got to be difficult.
Yeah, you better know how to ride if you're going to do that type of sport.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually everybody, just like in football, gets hurt. I got hurt myself. I busted my femur.
Oh, wow.
Broke my wrist, hurt my back. So, but I'm okay. You just bounce right back. You wait for your 3 months healing or whatever, and you just get right on like nothing happened.
So what happened? You just fell off the horse or something, or?
My horse, his hoof got caught in a little hole. We were going not even fast.
Okay.
And I slipped off the saddle, and my knee was in a bent position.
Okay.
And I landed like 6 feet on a bent knee.
Oh,
and it just shattered
ouch.
my whole leg.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It was ouch. That was an ouch.
It's funny you're talking about it. I'm holding my knee right now because I have like a knee injury from sports, and I'm literally rubbing my knee right now because I just imagine what that would have been like going down on top of that. And you're lucky that the horse didn't come on top of you or anything along those lines. It's
yes.
It's something else. Now you said you still own horses. You said
Yes.
How many horses do you have again?
I have 2 now.
2?
I have one that's retired, who I visit every week.
Okay.
And then I have one that I still ride in the formal hunt.
On the formal hunt, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're originally from Chicago. You're Chicagoan, right, or Chicagoan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm assuming that you are either a Cubs fan, or are you not a Cubs fan, and you are the other Chicago team, or?
Well, to be totally honest with you, I'm not so much into sports.
Oh, okay.
But if I had to pick a sport that I enjoy out of all of them,
yeah.
I'd have to say basketball.
Okay, so Bulls. You're a Bulls fan, basically.
Yes, I guess you could say that.
Sounds
yes.
good. Well, listen, I love Chicago. I mean, we're in Philly now, and Philly's a beautiful city. We love the city. But I tell you one thing, there's a thing about Chicago that I really love, and that is the townspeople. When you go into the town and when you go into the city, whether you're at Soldier Field or whether you're and I'm a big Cubbies fan, even though I'm from Philly. I'm a Philly fan. I'm wearing a Philly hat right now, okay? And I tried out with the Mets in '82, so I am a Philly fan and a Mets fan. But I got to tell you, I was rooting for the Cubs. Especially when they had that issue where they couldn't win a World Series for a while, kind of like Red Sox. And I was there that year. I was actually at Wrigley Field a few times.
Wow.
Rooting them on. And when they finally did win, I was pretty happy camper. Chicago's a great little town. Even though it's not little.
It is.
Even though it's not little, it's kind of like New York, except it's a lot cleaner.
I think a little friendlier.
It is
a lot friendlier.
But I found out something when I was actually in Chicago last time. I always thought Chicago, the windy city, meant it was windy. Okay, because it does get windy in there. I mean, you do have the skyscrapers and stuff, but I found out later on the reason why they call it the windy city is because of the politics.
You got it.
I did not know that. I mean, that was pretty cool. So,
oh yes.
well, listen, We will be back with Irene Michaels, an actress, and she does everything right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LifeVac.
First Responders Children's Foundation takes care of the children and families the brave ones leave at home. Help us help them. Text BRAVE to 24365 to learn how you can help first responders in your community today.
And welcome back to Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco with engineer Josh Applebaum on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. We're so close to the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. This is the Happy New Year show. And I just want to mention my friends over at World Star Public Relations, where excellence meets exposure. Now, listen, are you ready to elevate your brand to a new height? Well, their team of dynamic PR experts is here to make that story happen. Whether you're a startup, an established artist, business, or a rising star, they specialize in crafting narratives that captivate and campaigns that resonate. So you got to give them a call. Definitely, you will love it. You can give them a call at 631-506-6600, 631-506-6600. You know, let your story take center stage with World Star Public Relations. And we've got a fantastic guest, thanks to them as well, Irene Michaels. And she's just an amazing woman. You might well recognize her or know her from her time on General Hospital as pretty much a regular on that show. So it was a very good show. I loved it. I actually got on once, and I thought it was amazing just to be there, just the one time. But this young lady has done so many things, including a movie. Attack of the Killer Clowns, which I think is pretty cool as well. But in addition to that, she's got her own line of cosmetics. And on top of that, she's an equestrian and has done so many different things. So, yeah, Irene, thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Are you doing okay there? I keep hearing some noises. I'm hoping that everything is fine over there.
No, what I did is I walked out of one room into another, and I walked on some kind of bag that was on the ground. I didn't notice. That's what you're hearing. That's what you heard.
Listen, that's better than what happened to me this morning. I was actually going into the living room, getting ready to leave, and I guess one of my bulbs broke, on the tree. And unfortunately, I actually cut myself on the bulb because it was out on the floor. All of a sudden, I hear the cracking noise, and I look down, and I'm thinking, yeah, I think that was a bulb that fell off the tree at night, and who knows what happened. But so I think your story is a little bit better than mine there. Okay. So now, tell me the inspiration. We're going to go back to the General Hospital and what it's like to be an actor for on something like that, a high pressure. By the way, now that we brought that up, you've seen the movie Soap Dish, right? Did you ever see the movie Soap? Now, how realistic was that movie with Sally Field and Whoopi Goldberg, where you're talking about all that stuff with the star? And, of course, Sally Field was supposed to be playing Susan Lucci on that. Okay. What was that? Is that realistic? Is that true? Or that was just totally...
Some of it. Well, a lot of it is true. Yeah? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty... I'd say a good 60%.
Oh, really? And did they do live? Like, you had to actually do it live sometimes? In other words, they didn't have it on film. You had to do it live?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Totally. That's why it's so stressful.
Yeah.
Because you have to be, there's no, same thing like Broadway stage. There's no making mistakes and stopping the show.
Oh, no, absolutely not. You got to ad lib. I heard that, was it Anthony Geary basically sometimes had lines that were off stage that he could look at if he missed a line, or they had like the big, I guess, cardboard, or posters that they used to have. Is that true, or just that isn't really true?
Well, if they need it, they will prepare them for the actor. But it's really not advisable, because once you take your eye off the moment of the person,
okay,
and you look to the side, you're out of the moment, and that changes your whole deliverance.
Yeah, well, yeah, Saturday Night Live does that all the time, and it's very annoying to see that when they're actually looking over to the side when they're giving something, and you're like, yeah, they're reading off the board there. Yeah, so I don't like that as well. Josh has got a question for you.
Since we're on the subject of Saturday Night Live, I've got to ask, over all the casts that we've seen throughout the years, who would you say was your favorite ensemble cast, and what was your favorite SNL skit?
On Saturday Night Live?
On Saturday Night Live. She wasn't on it, but she probably did watch the show. So
no, that's what I asked. I know she wasn't on it, but I mean, just as one SNL fan to another.
One character that used to portray the president all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. There's a bunch of them. I think George Bush. There was George Bush. There was a whole bunch.
I used to love their portrayals, their individual portrayals. Wasn't John Belushi on that show too?
Oh yeah. In fact, John Belushi actually had some really good. Was he the samurai? That was the funniest thing where they'd come in and then he'd chop it up with the sword and everything. But you know what I loved? I loved when they were making fun of Jaws. Candy Graham, and they want you to open the door, and he's like, no, well, I don't have any candy, and then he comes up with something else, and finally the thing comes in and eats the what do you call it, the person. All right, so.
Well, I never found Lily Tumlin, the one in the wheelchair. The what was her name? Lily. And was she on Saturday Night Live? Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think Josh might help us with that.
Josh, the actress that used to look like she was a miniature character and sat in this major rocking chair. Lily Tomlin. She was so funny. She had the big lollipop in her mouth. I think that was. I don't think that was that. I think that show was the. What was that show?
Was it Laughing? That was Laughing.
Oh, that was Laughing.
That was right. I was Laughing. So Josh got a question for you.
Yes.
Well, I was going to ask if you had also seen like SNL. I remember a few times when Richard Pryor guest host, and there was one where they were making a parody of The Exorcist. Do you remember that skit?
Oh, wow. I think I do.
Yeah.
I think I do.
Yeah. So
is that your favorite?
That's his favorite.
One of my favorites. I mean, I also like classic Eddie Murphy, like when he did Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. All those sketches made me laugh hysterically.
No, but the funniest thing I like was the point counterpoint, where Jane would say something, and then he would come out, and I can't say it on the radio, but he'd say, "Jane, you ignorant something or other," and that brought that brought the house down. So let me ask you, Irene, you did television, and I did a little television, and I'm not crazy about film. Because they shoot and they shoot again and they reshoot and they reshoot. And I'm sure with General Hospital, when it was done, you had to do things several different times. Theater, on the other hand, you said you did Chorus Line and probably a whole bunch of stuff. Which one did you prefer? Did you prefer doing on stage, or did you prefer actually being in front of the camera, in front of an audience?
That's a good question. Let me think about that for a second. When I first, what I was doing, here, I'll back up.
Okay.
When I was doing a ton of acting, I was used to having a ton of people around me.
Okay.
And then when I stopped, and I liked that, and then when I stopped and I started modeling, because I became a pretty big model in Chicago, New York. And when I first started, I go, I just hate this job, because there's no one I just don't want to look into this box. I mean, that's no fun, because there's nobody around you and the photographer, but you're looking in some box and you're trying to act to this box, which is the camera. So I thought, well, no, I don't like that. Then time went on, and then when I got into the big, feature films and things like that, that was very exciting, but I couldn't stand the sitting around forever. So then when I got into being a performer, my own show, doing my own, writing my shows, writing my music, performing to a live audience, that's what I enjoy the most.
So yeah, basically,
that answers your question.
Yeah, you have control. That's the thing. See, between me and you, I really liked actually doing theater. Because with theater, even though it's a one-shot deal, you can always cover. There are other actors and actresses that can cover for you. We work together as a team, and the audience probably will not even know that you messed up. But on television, It's a little bit different. I mean, if you make a mistake and you're doing something live television, you can't go back, and unfortunately, it shows. But the worst thing about it, and you probably know this from General Hospital and some of the shows you've done, you have to retake and retake and retake and retake and retake. You could literally, I did a movie once, a trailer for a movie that was on Amazon Prime called Pickens, and we did this one scene, 30 seconds of a scene. That's all it was. It took us almost 2 hours to get it right to the point that the director loved it or liked it. And it took 2 hours. So we're doing the exact same scene. And now we're sweating. We got the suits on. I'm sitting there. We're doing this. Oh, the lighting wasn't right this time. Okay, the audio wasn't right this time. And by the time you got through it, it's 2 hours to do a 30-second piece. I'm sure you're familiar with that from General Hospital.
Oh, my God, yes. I used to work on a couple of feature films with James Woods.
Okay.
And he was the worst.
Really?
Because, in this fashion, talking about retakes, he at one time did 273 retakes because he didn't like the dialogue.
Wow.
And it was 8 hours of him walking in the door and saying something.
Okay. Oh, we're getting a little bit of an echo there. Are you walking around?
No, I'm here.
Oh, now you're good again. Now you're good. Yeah, for some reason you were doing that. So James Woods was the worst when it came to actually having to do it over and over and over and over again. Wow, I did not.
He was so precise, and then you could definitely not look at him. You'd have to sign a piece of paper.
Okay.
And say no talking, no staring, no looking. So anybody on the set had to face like the wall or something. It was crazy.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I had no clue that would actually even be occurring. Wow, that's something else.
Yeah.
Because he is a big actor, so.
I know. He's very intense. But on a funnier note, when I lived in Hollywood, I had neighbors.
Okay.
One neighbor was Sally Field in the corner.
Oh, okay.
And Sally Field used to practice on the crane in the middle of the street, being the flying nun.
Oh, wow.
Get up in the morning and see her swooping around in the middle of the street. Then on the other side of me was Ellis Cooper, and in his backyard, he was practicing the guillotine act, cutting his head off.
Oh, my goodness.
And across there was Bob Hope, cussing the people out on his lawn every day. They never did cut his grass right. It was hysterical. All of them. And then in person, I lived in her home, and her coach house was Jessie McLaughlin, who was a star of General Hospital.
Yes.
And every morning she'd get up and she'd smoke grass with her toe. And she'd go out her front porch, like instead of a pipe in her mouth on this chair, she'd be smoking grass with her toes.
Oh my goodness, Greg! Boy, you lived in
get up in the morning too.
I tell you what, that you lived in a better neighborhood than I did. I mean, basically, all I do is when I get out and get my paper, I just see people cutting grass or basically saying hello. I mean, no cranes around for Sally Field. No cutting off bats' heads. Like Alice Cooper. Yeah, I tell you, that must have been pretty cool. That must have, it
was pretty interesting.
You could almost make a movie about that, I mean, seriously. So did you like living in Hollywood before you moved back to Chicago? Did you like living there?
Yeah, I did. And then I moved to Sherman Oaks, which I thought, I didn't, really know Sherman Oaks at that time, but the studios and a lot of things were down that way.
Wow.
And so I lived there, but then I moved to Beverly Hills. I moved to Brentwood, and I lived in Martha Lee.
Hello?
As you know, the actress with the big mouth.
Okay. Well, we lost you there for a second. I guess you must have moved the phone over. So if you could just repeat that again, that would be great.
Eileen. That's Eileen again coming in. That's funny. She's, I guess she's texting me, but every time anyone texts, it cuts the phone out for a second.
Not a problem.
So
go ahead. That's fine. You were talking. I guess we kind of missed that last part that you were talking about.
Let's see now. What was the part you missed?
But that's okay.
Hollywood Hills, maybe.
Yeah, it was basically about when you moved, and we lost you kind of there. To Beverly Hills, I think it was at that point that we lost you.
Oh, okay, that's what I was saying. I moved into Martha Ray's house.
Martha Ray.
And do you remember Martha Ray?
Yeah.
With the big mouth and all. And she had a big, big mansion, and she'd cut her bedrooms all into where she would rent out the rooms to different actors.
Okay.
And there was a cast of characters in that house. I wish I should have filmed some of the craziness that went on in there. That itself would be a movie.
No, that definitely sounds definitely interesting. You've had a great time in Hollywood and the Beverly Hills area, and Brentwood. You were talking about Brentwood too as well. When did you finally stop? I guess acting. When did that finally occur? And you're like, I think I'm done. I think I've done enough and moved on. When did that happen? About?
I would say maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
But
Hello?
What I get asked to do, I do periodic things now and then, small parts in commercials or what have you.
Okay. So, are you doing any theater now? Like, is anybody calling you to do theater? Or
no, what I'm doing now is I'm writing my own, I'm releasing my own album January 15th.
Oh, okay.
So I'm writing music and performing, and I was nominated for an Emmy. Well, no, it wasn't an Emmy. It was a Grammy. I was nominated for a Grammy.
Oh, okay. Listen. We're going to take a quick break real quick, and then when I come back, I want to talk about this album that you're talking about. You buried the lead over here, Irene. You buried the lead on us. You got this big album coming out. So we're going to talk about it right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LifeVac.
Blind people are just like you, and we can do all the things that you do, but we still experience barriers in education, employment, and everyday life. The National Federation of the Blind is America's civil rights organization of blind people. We defend the rights of blind students, workers, parents, and more. To learn more about us and how you can help, visit blind.org. That's blind.org. The National Federation of the Blind. Live the life you want.
And hello there again. This is Pete Trabucco with Live on Tape, and we've got, of course, Josh Applebaum with us as producer. We've got a great guest, an actress extraordinaire. Her name is Irene Michaels. You might remember her. She was pretty much a regular on General Hospital, 97 episodes. I know it's still going on, but 97 is a pretty darn good number. And, of course, one of my favorite movies, which is actually interesting, is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And she's done a whole bunch of other stuff, which we talked about as well. But there's one thing that she forgot to mention, which we're talking about now. Got a couple minutes for that. And that is that in addition to everything she's done as an equestrian, she's actually got her own business, own cosmetics line. In addition to that, of course, the acting and the actresses, and a book that she's written, which is done extremely well, which I believe The title is Eye on Beauty, Living Beautifully and Luxuriously Beyond 50. Now I hear that she's actually got an album going with a bunch of songs. So, Irene, in the next 5 minutes, tell us what that's all about.
Well, when we were all going through COVID, we couldn't much do anything. Couldn't go out, couldn't act, couldn't do anything. But one thing you could do if you had a piano or an instrument is stay in your house and play it. Since I played guitar, I started strumming on the guitar much more often than I was doing it because I was running around so much that I started to say, I think I'll just write a few songs here. And I started, playing with the guitar, writing some melodies down. And I thought, I'll go to the piano and try to play something here. And did that. So I kept toying around with it. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to write some music. I really have missed this because I used to perform in nightclubs many, many years ago. So I was basically always, a performer of sorts. So I started writing. I hired some vocal coaches to assist me and bring my voice and vocals back up to par and up to snuff. And then I got very enthralled with all the music industry again. And my husband is a major producer. He actually is the biggest promoter in Northern America. And so he said, hey, at your age, and if this is what you want to do, go out and do it. So we talked about it, and I said, okay, what started to be a hobby is now turned into a full-blown career.
All right.
And my songs are all on SoundCloud. You'd hear them at any time. I have one song that was on the charts as number 3 for many, many weeks. And then I was nominated for a Grammy for it also. And then I did a remake of What the World Needs Now, which was done by Jackie DeShannon in 1965. And I was honored she had asked me to sing it, which I did. And that was nominated for a remake of the song also with the Grammys.
Okay,
so there's been a lot of excitement going on.
So back up. Now, we're talking about a Grammy nomination. What's the song that you're up for a Grammy for?
My song was called I Like Rain.
I Like Rain.
That was my song. And the song that I did for Jackie DeShannon was called What the World Needs Now Is Love.
Oh, I'm familiar with that song. I didn't know that you had something to do with that or the remake.
I did. I did the remake.
Wow, that is pretty cool. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very cool song, and the treatment that we do with it is very cool.
Really? So when is this new album going to hit? You said January. When is it going to hit?
It's actually called an EP because it's 4 songs.
Okay.
And it will be out, released the middle of January or the end of January because it's the best time to release your albums is February. Not
a problem. And how can the people get to that album? And where's it going to be? You said Spotify? Is that where it's going to be? Or where is it going to be?
Yeah, it will be played everywhere. Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, Siri Radio. Just have to ask for my name.
I tell you one thing, you keep very busy. I'll tell you, you're a very, very busy person. You just keep going and going. You're kind of like the ever-ready battery. You just keep going.
I am indeed. That's right. Yeah. I have tons of energy.
Well, okay, so New Year's is around the corner. So let us know, what are you planning on doing for New Year's? Well, what do you think you're going to be doing?
I will be in Mexico New Year's Eve.
Will you?
And yes. And I have friends there that have a beautiful home on the ocean, so he's very international, so a lot of people from all over the world will be stopping in to share the new year, and that's what I'll be doing.
Wow. I tell you what, you got one hell of a life. I mean, she's Beverly Hills, Hollywood. She's hanging out with Sally Field. She's biting heads off rats or bats or whatever with Alice Cooper. She's sitting there next to Bob Hope. I tell you, man, you should write another book, but this time you should write a book about your experiences. Seriously, I'm serious about your experiences with all the people that you have met. That would be an amazing book. I'd read it. And I'm sure Josh over there would read it. He's shaking his head.
Oh,
Yes, definitely.
yeah.
So there you go. There's the topic. You're going to talk about your life as a regular on General Hospital, your acting career, but more importantly, all the crazy people that you
Wait,
live
I have
near.
one more for you.
Oh, okay. Tell me one more before we go.
Okay, one more. I used to double date with Frank Sinatra. I used to date his manager.
Oh my goodness!
And him and Barbara and me and Jilly Rizzo, his name was. We used to, go all over the place. I used to sit in the wings when they were performing.
Wow,
that was pretty interesting.
Oh,
time.
that so listen. We got about 30 seconds. What was Frank Sinatra like when you saw him? What was he like? What was he really like?
Well, he was okay, cool. He wasn't warm and fuzzy, but he was okay. Generous, very generous.
Yeah, I heard he was cool. I heard he wasn't that emotional, or at least you couldn't see the emotions. There was that.
No.
Well, listen, Irene, thank you so much. You have been amazing. We love you here in the studio, and we thank you for for giving us some time to talk about everything that you've done. We wish you luck with the new album, and again, have a happy New Year. Okay.
Same to you, Pete.
Okay.
Bye.
And that about wraps it up.
Josh.
And that about wraps it up for Josh and I. And we will talk to you again next year. Have a good day.